All right, I'm gonna advertise this real quick on Twitch, and then we'll get into kind of my thoughts and the backstory of everything. I really did not want to do this video. I really just kind of wanted to just continue my regularly streaming program, but comes necessity, comes evil, or evil is all necessity. However they, whatever the hell the saying goes. Hi, Neve. Uh, all right. So that's up. We're going to wait a few seconds. I'm going to pull up a tweet that I made a while back because it's still kind of relevant. When did I make this one? The 21st. So 9 days. Very grumpy at G Dubs. Yep. Yep. Like I said, as soon as we get as soon as we get people in, I'll um I'll kind of start. Oh, let me go into recording too, just in case any of the community wants to join in. And you know, sound off, or or be constructive. I mean, obviously this is supposed to be constructive, and I want it to be constructive, but with everything that kind of has gone on within the past few days, um, you know, I think it's important that we talk about what's kind of going on. So as soon as we get like a decent amount of people in the chat, um, like I said, we'll get into the meat and potatoes. So we have a few people on Twitch. I got 4 watching on YouTube. Facebook. I don't know how many we're watching on Facebook, but Hopefully it's hopefully Facebook people can come in. Let's go to the master. Hekatori or Hecate Chori. Hello. Hey, how's it going? All right. So, let's talk about 40K. Let's talk about Games Workshop. Let's talk about what's been happening basically over the last 9, 10 days since GW came out with their intellectual policy. Doomchild. This policy is seriously going to hurt their bottom line. A lot of people are upset over content creators having to bow out due to the damn sword of Damocles that's put over their head. Yeah, we're already trust me, I'm gonna talk about Alphabus's statement. And actually, before we get into this, I want to make it absolutely clear, without any sort with some sort of preamble. What we talk about in this chat, okay, must be met with an understanding that it is not the employees that we see at the Games Workshop storefront. And quite honestly, I don't think it's. I would even go so far as to say it's not the rank and file of GW legal. I think it is, in my opinion, I think it is a coordinated effort. Doomchild says, "Yeah, the guy at my local shop was a TTS fan." Yeah, so like I said, we'll get into that, and he's on YouTube. We'll get into that. But what I don't want is people going over the top, both theoretically and emotionally, and just mindlessly taking their aggression out on people that are just working to make a buck. Okay. You can be angry. You can be upset. You can be frustrated. You can be depressed. A lot of people are. I've seen it. Those are all healthy emotions. What's not healthy is trying to act aggressively in a non-legal fashion against a policy which, in all honesty, unless you're sitting on the board of GW and have some sort of voting power, you're not going to change in a meaningful way if you act inappropriately. So let's get that out of the way. Okay. Now, a little bit about myself as a Warhammer enthusiast and player. Just because I feel like I need to put out my bona fides out onto the into the chat. I started Warhammer back in 2002, 2003 in 3rd edition. My Guard army, the first army I ever collected was Imperial Guard. First box I ever opened up was a 20 box Acadians when it was $30. All right, so that shows how kind of dated I am. You know, I had some metal models from when they swapped over from metal Cadians to plastics. You know, and it was introduced to me when I was in high school, and I was like, "Wow, this is great! I love this this fandom, right?" So much so that I started cosplaying uh, with Commissar. Um, I made Commissar costumes. I read Black Library. My first book that I ever read was Gaunt's Ghosts, first and only. Um, my first, uh, uh, like I said, my first army was Imperial Guard when it was doctrines where you can where you fielded where one troop's choice was a platoon commander and two platoon squads. And you only had three heavy support choices, and you didn't have Imperial Guard tank squadrons and all that stuff. You couldn't mix and match army. You couldn't mix and match other factions into your army. You had to you it was that was just it. It was super. It was like third edition to ninth. It's just super like worlds apart, worlds apart. So you didn't have. So that's my kind of my backstory. Um, and I always loved GW. Um, it was a place for me to be creative, to get out of my to focus a lot of my juvenile angst into painting Imperial Guardsmen and whatnot, painting old stormtroopers and making stories about them. Hell, some of my best fan fiction I ever wrote that no one has ever seen the light of day is when I was in high school and in college, writing and listening and reading and just absorbing everything. I played in the Eye of Terror campaign. I played in the Fall of Medusa. I played in the Third Sphere expansion worldwide campaign. I played in the Fate of Connor campaign. You know, when I joined the Air Force and went to England, I took my wife on a date to Warhammer World, and got her into Dark Angels. I mean, she doesn't play it anymore, but still, um, I started playing rather recently. I played video games back in the day, but started building an actual army in 2015 when a friend introduced me to TTS. Yes, yes, we're definitely going to get into TTS. Um, and it was all fun. Like I said, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, I got her into playing Warhammer 40K. And we played a few games. Hell, we played a massive apocalypse battle, a legendary battle where it was just a giant APOC fight. And me and all my buddies from Lake and Heath, when we were stationed there, we went there. We were just like, we're gonna divide. We're gonna like the Imperium always is fractured, right? So we're just gonna be like, no, we're gonna take over a section of the table. We're gonna be the supreme. We're gonna be like the sector commanders, and then because I was like the Imperial Guard player, they were like, "You're gonna be the ally. You're gonna be like Eisenhower, man. You're the supreme Allied commander." And I was just like, "Yeah, let's do this." And we won. We actually won. We actually like devised battle plans, and I fed them out and gave them orders and whatnot. And of course, the Games Workshop judges uh, at Forge World were like, "Man, those guys are doing. Hey, yeah, hey, we're gonna give you guys some orders." So they did. They flipped out orders, and we were all combined. We're all like, and I was like, "Hey, you do this and that," and it was great. Um, so yeah. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Um, there weren't a whole lot of people back in 2000 when I was like super active in the fandom in 2005, 2000. Sorry, in 2012 really to 15 when I left England that I really didn't know much about the outside fandom, the artists and whatnot, and I lament that I didn't meet any of these artists and TTS and all that stuff while I was in England, and I feel bad that I didn't get that opportunity and chance when they were doing conventions and all that stuff. But I knew that Games Workshop had a very tight vice grip on, even back then, even back in 2005 when I started, 2005, 2006, because the first fan film that I knew that got shut down from GW's lawyers was Dominatus. It was a German fan film that was almost done. They had a script and everything, and basically the story was there was this demon that was taking over the planet. I think it might have been Corn. I want to say it was Corn, if I remember correctly. And it was a I have yet to finish my army and actually play the game. I've been waiting on an alleged Emperor's Children update since 2016. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Doomchild. I wish I could tell you that GW is going to do that. I mean, GW's sidelined a whole lot of specialist games and armies and all that kind of stuff. I mean, look what happened to the Death Korps of Krieg. But back to what I was saying. So the first time I ran into GW being aggressive with their IP was this German fan film called Domnatus. Um, and it was about an Inquisition band that was going into this giant hive. Um, and uh, we were and they were going to fight this cultist of demons, or sorry, these cultists and demons, and it had a lot of basic CG and basic 3D animations and all that stuff. But it had a script. It was a finished script and a finished story. And basically, Games Workshop said, "No, you're not going to finish this." So they didn't. They didn't finish it, and it wasn't until a few years back that I guess a leaked copy of the supposed final product got released to YouTube. A really crap copy, like barely rendered footage and whatnot, but still a full script, and it wasn't translated like they were promising and all that stuff. And so, um, yeah, so Games Workshop kiboshed Domnatus. And that was really the first taste where I was like, man, that's kind of weird. Like, they're not making any money. It's just a fan film. I mean, they might make some ad revenue from YouTube, but it's not like they're making cash, like serious cash. Um, and so that was the first victim that I registered about Games Workshop's protective IP. Um, which was sad. It was upsetting to say the least. Um, so now, fast forward to um, right before 8th edition, they launched this new program. Games Workshop launched this new program called Warhammer Community. And for those of you that don't remember Games Workshop or Warhammer before they launched this new program and built all this goodwill, Games Workshop really didn't have much of an advertising arm. They had on the main website they had sneak peeks when they were finished with designing a model and had it painted up, and they'd say, "Hey, these are the sneak peeks or new releases." And that was really it. They didn't have much of an online presence as they do now. And um, there were tons of web comics. I remember web comics were huge back then. Back in 2015, 2020, where really the early 2000s to late 2010s. Um, and many of the Warhammer 40K web comics, like Wobbly Model Syndrome, Turn Signals on a Land Raider, um, some of the late showers like Eagle Ordinary, um, a few others were huge. I mean, they they were able to carve out a very niche living on the fandom. And it wasn't like they were trying to profit off of Games Workshop. It was more of an ode to the fandom. It was like a hey, I'm going to make some jokes, I'm going to tell a somewhat cohesive story, and then that's it, right? Um, and you could tell that they focused, like the authors of Wobbly Model Syndrome and Turn Signals on the Land Raider were very much supportive of of the community, and the community supported them back, and it was loved. And then when Games Workshop finally came around, early, I want to say 2012, 2013, 2014 is when they were like, oh, hey, we're going to make this new group called Games Workshop Community, the Warhammer community. And they did. And what did they do? They bought up the artists that were running these very venerable, very long running um, uh, web comics. And we celebrated that. We're like, yeah, good job. You finally made it. And then they killed them. Proverbially, figuratively, they killed the comics. The writers never drafted a single. I mean, if you look at Eagle Ordinary, the last time that writer ever ever published anything was came, came off a bit abrupt there. um, yeah, the if I remember correctly, the last thing uh, Eagle Ordinary published as a web comic, I probably can't even get to the link now. It's probably a dead link because if I go on their Twitter, yeah, it's a dead link. EagleOrdinary.com is a dead link. Um, but it was a while back. The last, yeah, the last comic was April 2017. That was the last time he posted about a comic. It was April 24th, 2017. New comics up. And I can't even get to it. The site's gone. And so that's a that's probably one of the more tragic pre-Warhammer had a bad community about being uptight and out of touch. Yeah, absolutely. Um, the pre-Warhammer Community Games Workshop was uptight, was had a bad reputation about being out of touch, and then and then they developed right this community, and they were like, hey, we're going to do community outreach. We're going to put new newsletters out. We're gonna actually engage with the community and tell them what we're going to do, and they did. They made this promise, and everyone thought it was a sham. Everyone was like, you're never gonna community. The Warhammer community page is never gonna fly because no one's gonna use it. No one's gonna care about Warhammer news because you guys haven't given us anything to be excited about. And boy, were we wrong. People live and die off of Warhammer community news every week. Um, and they built a awesome, wonderful community outreach. And like I said, when they produced this Warhammer community, they had their own little comic weeklies, like Sunday little comic strips. And what unfortunately happened was is when they bought these guys that did turn signals on a Land Raider, wobbly model syndrome, Eagle Ordinary. They put them in contracts, and then they were like, okay, you will never, ever, ever make another comic again. You'll make a few comics for Warhammer Community, and then that's it. And we'll use you from time to time to make other comics, right? I mean, the Warhammer Community, the guy who made the Eagle Ordinary Warhammer Community comics, let me look and see the last time he published anything that was worth a damn. Webcomics. The last thing he published was Vainglorious. Turn signals on a Land Raider. Was number 44, Jan 20. That's it. Number 44 was Jan 20. Uh, yeah, Vainglorious was the first episode that was the first webcomic that he did, and that terminated November of 2018. And that was by the same artist and, from what I'm assuming, storyteller as Eagle Ordinary. You know. December 2018, Roommates. You know, there's asides Never Chosen, which has, oh, I'm sorry, Never Chosen was 2020, February of 2020. That's the last one that I've seen that's been recent. Spanners. September of 19. You know, it's what appeared to have happened was enthusiastic employees made Warhammer success, and then corporate used that popularity to go back up to their old tricks. Yeah, definitely. So, again, these are people that had their own. Most of them, as far as I know, had their own uh, um, webcomics, and decided to what's it called? Decided to um, let just decided to basically kill off talent, which is frustrating to say the least. Now, I understand if it wasn't popular. I get it. Um, you know, web comics were certainly a 90s to 2000s, like a late 90s to 2000s thing, maybe late early 2010s thing. I totally understand. Or maybe it's just such a niche demographic within a niche hobby that they don't get the traffic. But it's a shame because it just kind of shows what GW does, at least when it comes to their habits, where they take talent and then they greedily hold on to it and they don't release anything. Um, so, getting back to the original point of what's happened, what has happened in the last 10 days of the Warhammer 40K community? Well, I'm going to show you guys. So, what happened the last 10 days of the Warhammer 40K community was intellectual property guidelines. Okay, now hopefully you guys can see it. Okay, and the intellectual property guidelines came out, and I'll read it if the quality of the video doesn't show up. But Games Workshop has been designing and selling miniatures for games for over 40 years. Our studios have worked hard to create unique settings and characters that are enjoyed by our fans all the world over. We love to see our fans enjoying all things Warhammer. We also have a duty to preserve and protect our intellectual property rights. This is the only way that we can ensure Warhammer will be around forever. Okay, a kind of point of order. By doing what you're about to do, you are about to really damage your guys' brand, but that's okay. Our goal is to do this while continuing to support and passionate creativity of our fans. We will level with you. This is a difficult balancing act. No, I don't think so. I don't think it's as difficult. I really don't. So whatever exciting Warhammer hobby activities you are working on, we ask you to follow the guidelines below at all times. By doing so, we will continue to enjoy all things Warhammer for a long time to come. These guidelines do not constitute a formal approval or authorization of any fan content or waiver of our legal rights. We reserve the right to change any of these guidelines at any time. Dear God, I hope they change this soon. We reserve the right to change these guidelines at any time. Well, after today's backlash, I hope to Christ they do. I really do. Okay, fan fiction, hobby books, and magazines. Okay, individuals may write their own stories, hobby books, and magazines based on our characters and setting, but these must not include text, artwork, imagery copied from official Games Workshop material. So I get what they're saying. We can't use established characters or established stories that Games Workshop has already published. That's really hard to do. It is really hard to because within those three lines, right, or within those three words, right, text, artwork, or imagery copied from any official Games Workshop material. It is really hard to describe an Adeptus Astartes, a Space Marine, from Warhammer 40k unless you become very specific and you use Games Workshop provided material that's official. For example, like when I wrote some of my fan fiction back in high school and college, I actually took several of the source material from 40k that was published from Black Library, and I was like, okay, well, this is how the world is supposed to work. I'm going to use this as my source material. Hell, I think I still have an original copy of my Imperial Guard Infantryman's Uplifting Primer that I used as part of my example for like medals and stuff, and how medals are supposed to be presented in a particular scene in my fan fiction that I wrote. But now, given that, anyone from Games Workshop Legal could read my fan fiction and say, no, you can't do that anymore. Okay, which is all right, fine. Must be non-commercial with no money being received or paid. This includes all form of fundraising activity or generations of any advertising revenue. Must not be publicly distributed, except for no charge digital distribution. So there you have it. Must make it clear that they are unofficial without using any Games Workshop logos. Okay, there we go. Must include the word unofficial prominently on the front cover. Okay, so they want everything to be unofficial. Must be not prejudicial to the goodwill and reputation and integrity of Games Workshop or its intellectual property. Okay, basically they said you can't say anything that would damage our brand, or that would be perceived as damaging our brand. All right, that makes sense, sort of. I mean, yes, that makes sense. But all of this right here makes sense business wise because their Games Workshop is saying, hey, I don't want you to do this. Okay. The second line is also a death sentence to fan art. Any artist with Patreon can't make fan art or can't take commissions of fan art or do commissions, etc. No, absolutely, absolutely. Uh, doesn't this make even wiki pages not allowed? Yes, yes, it does make wiki pages not allowed. Unfortunately, like wiki Warhammer 1D4chan, anything to that extent is now considered under threat. Um, okay, fan art, fan work. Okay, may not include artwork, imagery copyrighted from any Games Workshop. All right, there we go. May not include. So if you want a Space Marine, it better not have It better not have winged skulls. It better not have Aquillas. It better not have a Blood Angel or any sort of Space Marine Legion symbol. And there's hundreds of thousands of chapters already published that Games Workshop has copyrighted. Okay. Can't make any Sisters of Battle. Can't make any Imperial Guard. Can't make any like. You can make fan art for yourself and only yourself. Or you can make a fan art for your friend as long as you're not getting paid money. And again, this means you can't make certain things. You can't take your creativity, your art. Like if you're a really good artist or a really good story writer or a really good 3D sculpture or a really good 3D um, graphics designer, right? And you can't make a living off of your talents. And in today's society, where we celebrate in the fandom um, where we celebrate things, um, where we make things like, oh yeah, I really want to make awesome fan art, okay, and when people start asking, because and this thing that's affecting a lot of artists, and I have friends who are artists, I have friends who've commissioned me or who I've commissioned, okay, this is directly affecting them. Go throughout Twitter to any known artist that does commissions, and they've made statements saying, "Hey, I don't think I can do 40K art anymore because I don't want to get sued. I don't want to deal with the legal ramifications and lose my only livelihood." Okay? Fan art and artists who make artwork for fans for Warhammer 40K now can no longer do what they're passionate about. They talk about fan sites. Okay? No longer, like if you're an awesome web designer and you made a fan site about the Ultramarines, all that hard work that you've put into that making that website, and then all the money you make paying for that website to function, gone. Okay? Um, fan films and then of course finally we get to fan films. Fan films and animations. The individuals must not create fan films or animations based off our settings or characters. They may only be credited under license from Games Workshop. All right, this right here was created because Games Workshop is making Warhammer Plus. That's it. It's a streaming service that, in my humble opinion, it should be any fan content should be publicly available without payment and any fan content should be distinctly different from the official content. I mean, yeah, we can talk about the legalese of it, but as of right now, this is affecting everybody across the board. Everybody across the board. Your Twitter artists, your deviant artists. I mean, hell, cosplay is now under threat because if you're a well-known cosplayer and you make a 40K outfit, okay, Christ's sakes, this right here, my cosplay is now goes against the 40K, goes against Games Workshop's intellectual property ban. Because it has the Aquila. I don't know if they trademarked the Imperialis, the winged skull. I think that one they didn't trademark, so I think that's safe for right now. And they can't really trademark the title Commissar because a Commissar is I mean, there's a historical thing to that. But I, I got these pins from people who made these pins. Who were like, "Hey, I'm making cosplay props. These are 40K props." You know, and now their livelihood's in danger and in jeopardy. You know, I mean, Christ, I've got a lost pistol for God's sakes. That I've made, or not made, but that I had a friend made for me. It's a very good, it's wonderfully made lost pistol too. I'll even show it. You know, here it is. I supported someone who loved the fandom so much. He was like, "I'm going to make a 1-to-1 scale of a lost pistol." You know, like Games Workshop. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I was so frustrated. So yeah, look, 1-to-1 scale, lost pistol. You know, the cosplay prop. I use it for all my cosplays when I cosplay as the Commissar. My freaking Commissar's hat. Okay. My Commissar's hat is now technically it's by Games Workshop's own legal definition. It's now technically not allowed to be used for anything. Like they've literally attacked the fandom across the entire board. And I get and I get it. I get it. Um you know, Nord Queen Alexis said it best. Hey, let's cool our jets. Let's make sure we're we shouldn't lose our minds over this because until Games Workshop starts acting. But and while I agree with she's made comments of, well, every intellectual IP, every intellectual every company has something similar. And I get it. I understand where she's coming from. But at the same time, now we see the first casualties of this legal document. Okay? That's been updated. You know? So yeah, if you're a cosplayer that's done Warhammer 40K outfits, Sisters of Battle, Space Marines. Oh man, I can't tell you how many Space Marine cosplayers are probably like, "Oh my god, my entire cosplay now is technically illegal." because they've done YouTube videos on how they've made it. They're making ad revenue off of it. They've won prize money off of it in cosplay competitions. They've won not just prize money, but they've also won other accolades, and they've been guest speakers. Well, that's a problem. Not everyone's willing. Not every. Well, that's the problem. Not everyone is willing to risk a legal battle with GW. Uh, and not everyone's willing to risk a legal battle, and GW has a bad reputation, so people aren't confident GW will let the fan content be. Yeah, exactly. So, like, I understand why Nord Queen Alexis, and by the way, that's from Doomchild on YouTube. Um, and I understand why Nord Queen Alexis is saying what she's saying, because she has a better sunny disposition of faith, in at least in my opinion, on what GW can do or will do or what do. And I said it best about 10 days ago when it came out. And I'll you know, I will read what I said about 10 days ago from my Twitter, and I think it still applies somewhat, sort of. But like I said, I feel really really awful for the people that they've made. They've taken their passion and their hard work, and now Games Workshop, and they've lived off of Games Workshop goodwill for a long time. Like, Games Workshop really started to build up goodwill back in 2000. Shit, I want to say 2018, well, 2017, 18, when 8th edition kind of rolled out. 7th, 8th edition kind of rolled out. And really into the, like, COVID, like, they were just like, hey, we're with you on COVID. We're going to make sure that you guys get your we're going to make sure that you guys are safe during COVID and all that stuff. And yeah, so, and they just pissed it away with this stuff. But anyway, let me get into it. So here was my statement about 10 days ago. So Games Workshop is declaring exterminatus in order to aggressively protect their IP. The same Games Workshop who scouted all the fan artists and animator talent who became so popular because of their hard work and dedication to the enrichment and enhancement and to enrich and enhance the Warhammer community. From a business perspective, Games Workshop is well within its legal right to chase every commission artist, every freelance animator, every Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook content creator, etc. But I hope that they don't. It is my hope that Games Workshop does not attack the fandom, which loves and supports and promotes their products. Now, will Games Workshop attack those people uh, they find threatening and damaging to their brand and image? Unequivocally, yes. We've already seen it with those who are the most toxic and abhorrent. And we have and should celebrate their removal. And we have seen them remove people like, Arch War, Arch, and some of the other people who have been outed as, either racist or sexist or misogynistic or what, you have it, toxic, right? Um, will GW target innocent accounts that aren't vile, atrocious, exclusionary, and hateful? Unfortunately, this is yet to be seen, but I do feel that some will be quietly asked to stop. This will and already be a change to the landscape of the fandom. I've seen a lot of my favorite artists panic and already make overtures that they are going to be stopping their current content completely. To my lovely creators, I sympathize and will support you still should you leave the fandom and push for independent and original content. I will still commission you regardless if you decide to stay or go. And that's still very much the case. If you are a independent comms artist who lives and dies paycheck to paycheck off of your commissions, please let me know. And I will commission you non-Warhammer or Warhammer related. But again, know that Warhammer is no longer seen as viable. Today is a tragic day for the fandom, but we see this before in Games Workshop, and other new aggressive iterations will unfortunately follow. I say stay strong, and then the Emperor protects. That was my comment 10 days ago. But now we have, and we get to the final bit, which is Alphabus and his departure and his permanent hiatus of text-to-speech, if the Emperor had text-to-speech device. And I made a comment similar to that. We all knew that there would be casualties that would be reported with the new legal status that put in place by GW. Text-to-speech is now on permanent hiatus until such time as GW honestly repents and rescinds what they have said, or they come back with a genre outside of the Warhammer franchise. Now, I say Alphabus and the text-to-speech crew, good luck. I want you guys to come back. I want you guys to come back with new content and arise like a phoenix out of the ashes. Because you guys have worked your ass off to make us laugh, to give us some good content, to just enjoy and celebrate the weird, wacky lore of 40K. And I think you guys deserve a stand of applause, a standing ovation and a round of applause. And yeah, a lot of people would love to see you fight and win a Games Workshop legal battle, but we understand why you had to do it. And I get it. And I wish you and Alphabus and everyone else who worked on the text-to-speech device show and content nothing but fair sailing and fair weather from here on out. So, it is a sad day for the fandom, and I 100% say that. And I will never ever blame Alphabus or any of the other text-to-speech guys for making this decision. And now we get to what can we do. And this is what we can do. This is what we should do. And there are other people that are sounding off about the same thing. Why is Games Workshop being so deeply aggressive about free advertisement? Like, they don't even have to put in the effort. And this is why I think Games Workshop is missing the mark, because you have web shows that are based off of other IP, right? That you don't have to that you can just kind of look at. And okay, so you've got Dungeons and Dragons, right? Okay, that has several thousands and animation and fan art, and I mean, Christ's sakes, you just type in cleric And there are thousands of Google hits and returns about clerics. Paladin, thousands of hits about Paladin. Wizard, thousands of hits about Wizard. Some of them World of Warcraft, some of them uh, uh, um, Pathfinder, but all of it comes from Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, all right. Critical Role would not exist if D&D 5th edition was just as tyrannical as Games Workshop. If Wizards of the Coast was just as tyrannical as Games Workshop. Hell, if Pazezu, the guys who run Pathfinder, was just as tyrannical as Games Workshop. Almost every good RPG game borrows from D&D, even GW. Yeah, that's the truth. It like if imagine if Gary Gygax was like, I want to protect my IP and no one else can create another Dungeons and Dragons brand, right? And he took that to the grave. Okay, it'd be unheard. Like D&D would not exist, or at least not in the way that you and I know it to be and enjoy it to be. I mean, how many times have I seen on Twitter or on Facebook, "Oh man, it's Thursday, Critical Role Thursday." Wah, and the fans get hyped. That would not happen if Dungeons and Dragons were the same when it comes to their IP, like Games Workshop. It wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't. Or even if it did, even if it was sponsored through Games Workshop or D&D, right, Wizards of the Coast, and it was like, hey, no, this is the official Wizards of the Coast. Like, it wouldn't have the same fandom. It just wouldn't, because it's organic, it's genuine. There's probably some legal gods up ahead that are talking back and forth with each other, but you don't see Wizards of the Coast going after fan art, going after live stream services, going after D&D and D and all that stuff. You just don't see that. Okay, there's not a massive out backlash, and there's not massive YouTubers that are like, "Hey, I literally can't do what I want to do, the passion that I want to have, because I have to think of my family and the potential legal battle that I might be facing from Wizards of the Coast's legal team." Not on like just unheard of. And what hurts the most, uniquely what hurts the most about this whole fiasco, is that Games Workshop, despite being a billions of pounds company, yeah, imagine if Tolkien's descendants going after everyone using elves and orcs. I'm I'm with you, Doomchild. You're preaching to the choir. You really are. You 100% are. Okay? It would be unheard of. Okay? It would be like Tolkien's estate going after people drawing Frodo Baggins, Gandalf the Grey, and all that stuff, and making money off of their artwork. So there's that, right? So ultimately, what I am trying to get at is that the reason why it's been so personal, not just for me, but for everybody else in the fandom. It'll be sad if they go after Bolta to Kokoro. Yeah, if they go after them, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. Like, this is really the first time my faith in 40K has been really shaken. Like, my attachment to the community has been damaged in a way that I don't think I'm okay with. I'm not okay with any sort of damage to the community, but Captain Redjack, we are experiencing GWs tend to tighten their grip on a monopoly, and they're losing almost a decades that they They've been losing for almost a decade and will continue to lose. Yeah, so the whole reason why this fiasco started was because Warhammer, and this is something that I don't seem to understand. They want to monopolize Warhammer Plus. You know, they snatched up all these good fan creation things, right? And they were like, yeah, we're going to make Warhammer Plus, this Netflix style streaming service. Why? I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I wish it success, but why? You guys are supposed to be selling plastic models, board games, books. I mean, the books Black Library is pretty damn successful. So like that's understandable. Books and models. Why videos? Like I don't understand. You're not going to corner the market. Spoiler alert, Netflix and Disney kind of already beat you to the punch. You know, not everyone's going to be lining up for Death of Angels. Same why lol. No, I mean not to just hate because that I mean everyone wants to hate right now on Warhammer Plus. Everyone does. I get it. And for good reason because this is the sacrifice that we're that this is the unasked for sacrifice that we're making as fans. A Stardust was popular because someone with the creative vision took the time out of their lives to make this. I'm omnivore. They could still make a fortune and reach more people by showing kindness for a customer by negotiating a channel on Netflix, Prime, etc. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Uh, Omnivore plus one. Yeah, no, 100%. You make an absolute and omnivore. I am omnivore on Twitch. That was his comment. They could still make a fortune, reach more people, and show kindness to the customer by negotiating a channel on Netflix or Prime. Yeah, 100%. And they'd reach more people. But now but like with every streaming thing, it's very anti. Again, from Twitch, it's very anti-consumer move and an anti-consumer market. Yeah, I get it. Like absolutely, absolutely. So again, I make fan animations were few and far between anyway. It was nice. It'd be nice bonus if they had been sanctioned series on Warhammer Plus. But it's never to be like Netflix. 30, 60 minutes a week, uh, episodes once a week. Doubtful. Yeah, I mean, and that's Doomchild on YouTube. Um, yeah, like I said, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Because here's what Warhammer Plus is going to do. They're going to target YouTubers like myself who make battle reports. Um, YouTubers who make lore videos, YouTubers who make animations, YouTubers who make prop making things about 40K. Like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to make Space Marine power armor. Now I'm going to be like, I'm going to teach you how to make. Well, I could probably still say Space Marine and get away with it because I wouldn't be. Oh, it's not that kind of Space Marine. I'm going to teach you how to make um, vacuum trooper armor. you know, like like and it's Mark One. You know, Star Warrior armor. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Fucking ah ah. I'm going to teach you how to make space guard armor, and laser rifles. You like it just it's so disingenuous. It just it. I know. Yeah, and know nothing about Warhammer Plus till I saw this video. Maybe they have hundreds of hours of content tops. How are they going to fill space? Space Knights not common is a non is a common non GW name for Astartes. Yeah, just start throwing out random words, random Latin words together, and it be like, hey, it's not GW sanctioned. It's you know yeah. But Warhammer Plus is supposed to be the streaming service where they talk about where it's extra content, extra how-to painting videos, extra how to model better, extra painting tutorials and all that stuff. But they already have that with Space Chad. Lol. Yeah, Captain Redjack said, yeah, knowing nothing about Warhammer Plus until I saw this vid, maybe they have hundreds of hours of content tops. How are they going to film? How are they going to fill a streaming service? They're not. They're not. And here's the crux of it. A lot of their content's already on Twitch. Like their big Twitch pull-ins is when they start doing the Warhammer special events where they release Warhammer Weekly updates on the models they make. And yeah, exactly. Doomchild on YouTube writes in, Warhammer Plus is supposed to be more community content along with bonus features for the army builder and rules. Yeah, and it's not. They don't have a massive catalog. Like the whole reason Disney Plus is successful over Netflix is because Disney Plus has a massive catalog. Just Disney. Like, forget Marvel, forget Star Wars, forget anything within the last, we'll call it 20 years, since 2020. Since they purchased Marvel and all the superhero series. Or not 2020, since 2000. They have a massive catalog. A massive catalog of Disney movies. Classics, reboots. Like if they just did reboots, they'd still have a massive catalog. But no, what do they got? They've got Marvel now, Star Wars. Like Disney Plus was a no fucking brainer because the company has money to launch and provide massive streaming services. And what did they do before they launched Disney Plus? They signed a deal with Netflix. Hey Netflix, you're about to make buku money off of us. We're going to rent out your platform. And what did they do for like the last when Netflix started, what, in 2010, if I remember correctly? Actually, no, I started renting Netflix in like 2009 is when I remember starting renting out Netflix DVDs and whatnot, having my own subscription. And what did they do? They were like, hey, Netflix, you're about to make buku money off of us. And they did. They signed, Netflix and Disney signed a contract together. And since I want to say from 2010, 2015, 2012 to when Disney Plus started back in 2019, 2018. Yeah, we'll call it 2019. Yeah, when Disney Plus first started, they had all that time to do a project product, and the bean counters made counted all the money, and they were like, yeah, no, this is something viable. Warhammer Plus, what name so? What research have they done that justifies them going after fan-based artwork, fan-based animation, fan-based anything, fan-based videos, lore videos, all that stuff. Yeah, I get it. They're trying to protect their IP. They're trying to protect their brand from bad actors like Arch, like, you know, insert nasty ass racist bastard that you could think of as a YouTuber or as a Twitch streamer. You know, I get it. You don't want to associate with somebody that's an avowed racist. You don't want to associate somebody that has been seen making comments that are distasteful. You don't want to lose revenue, right? So that's why GW slapped Arch in the face. And we're like, you can't call yourself Arch Warhammer anymore. Cool. Fantastic. I'm all for it. There you go. Like, that makes sense. But to just go after somebody who's celebrating like TTS. It's funny how Ouch became the very definition of bad actors, yet few people can name anyone else other than him. But I mean, uh, but but it's true. Like I don't, I'm only familiar with him. Like if there was somebody else that was a bad actor, I'd be naming them too. You know, but again, what did we see? We see Games Workshop saying, "Hey, no, you are no longer associated with our brand because you're a terrible person." Like, okay, he's been removed. Is there anyone else? Like, are there people that are bad faith actors in the hobby? Yeah, sure. I've dealt with a few of them online in the message boards. Like, I don't like dealing with them, but they also don't create content. You know, they may support content, which we could argue that, but that's like pittance. Um, but yeah, like to me, this whole to me it was a dark day for the fandom when text to speech had to shutter their doors and had to take a knee and regroup. Yeah, I'm still going to support them. I'm going to support them regardless. But this was really the first day that I well and truly questioned my stance on supporting Warhammer. Because let's be honest, before I moved to Japan, I was cranking out battle reports on a fairly regular basis. Now, what's going to happen when Games Workshop says, okay, all these YouTubers that create battle reports, Striking Scorpion, Mini Wargaming, Blue Table Painting, um, Glacial Geek, um, Winners SAO, hell, even Alexis Nordqueen, right? What's going to happen to all those YouTubers when they say, all right, you can't run any more Dark Heresy campaigns. You can't run any more Only War campaigns. You can't run 40K battle reports. You can't run um, uh, uh, Age of Sigmar battle reports or Battlefleet Gothic reports or any IP that we have put out because let's be honest, it's around the corner. Oh man, I still blame Dave for turning me to chaos. Yeah, Dave was a good guy from uh, Mini Wargaming. Mini Wargaming Dave was a good man, which is funny because Captain Redjack, he's a friend of mine. His name was also subsequently Dave, and he also is a chaos player. But But yeah, uh, I think he was Trader Guard first, but still, Chaos player, all that stuff. But yeah, so now we've seen, unfortunately, the first casualties, the first collateral damage of this new legal IP protection, and they've underestimated the ability of younger crowds to cut off unethical companies. So, and that's from I Am Omnivore. A lot of channels and content from Doomchild. A lot of channels and content creators rely on donations and ad revenue to fund their hobbies and content. Yeah, it's it's bad. Ultimate from I Am Omnivore on Twitch. Ultimately, I call this harming the company. Yeah, I mean, I don't see how Games Workshop is calling this a win. I really don't. I don't. Excuse me while I get that out of the camera. I really don't see how Games Workshop is going to call this a win. Like, even if their Warhammer Plus goes off without a hitch, like, truly goes off without a hitch, and they make or exceed their expectations, I don't see Warhammer Plus really living as far as they think it's going to go. Like, the gaming aspect is probably going to be worth some of it. Like the fact that you're going to get codexes updated all, codexes updated. Um, time to add some extra confusion. Doomchild on Twitch. Doomchild, if you like the content that I'm putting out, please make sure that you subscribe to both Twitch and YouTube before my channel gets shut down by Games Workshop. Heaven forbid that fucking happens. Um, because I'm not making money off of this at all. I actually make the money I do make goes to charity, which would be a real damn shame if they target this channel. Um, uh, because whatnot. But what's it called strategic loss, and I Am Omnivore on Twitch says strategic loss in short term to gain long term control. I hope they're investing. I mean, like I said, I hope. Oh, Sophia, thank you for the follow. Um, but yeah, uh, yeah, I don't understand. I do not understand um, why Games Workshop did what they did. I mean, and it's long reaching too. Like, okay, so now, I mean, let's not just talk about streamers that stream battle reports and all that stuff. Okay, so now what? Now, are you going to prevent people from streaming your video games? Necromunda, Battlefleet Gothic, um, uh, Total War. Total War Warhammer, Warhammer 2, Warhammer 3 when that comes out. Any other game that you could possibly create. The problem is a legal issue. Any admittance or admission is allowed could be used to circumvent their IP. Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, and like I said, Games Workshop did it to protect their IP. They're like, hey, we don't. If you allow one, others will go. Well, uh, they're allowed to do it, so why can't we? No, absolutely no. Look, as I've said before, Games Workshop legally has the right to go after anyone they choose that's using their IP. and that's it. Like Games Workshop could literally come to my Twitch channel, to my YouTube channel, and say, "We don't want you streaming games. We don't want you calling yourself Commissar in a 40K aspect." Uh, and they could make the distinction. I'm pretty sure they could. They could go after me for my cosplay. I mean, really anything, and I couldn't fight them on it. One, because I don't have the finances to fight them on it. Two, because they can. Yeah, and it's kind of sad. It's sad that they've done that. It's sad that has been the case. And I wish it wasn't. I wish it wasn't. I wish they Games Workshop actually engaged the brain pan a little bit. But you know, it's it is an unfortunate um, it is an unfortunate thing that they've done, and it's only hurt the fandom. All for the chance to corner the market, which they've already got cornered. Which they've already got cornered. So we saw Soldas leave Warhammer 40K primarily because of the toxicity of fandoms, and we saw Alphabus did GW a favor by going on hiatus. If GW actually enforced their rules and told him to stop, the outrage would be even bigger now than it is. I mean, the outrage was is big anyway. Like the backlash is huge. You go on Twitter and everyone's looking for fucking blood. I mean that's the truth of it. Um, and it's sad and it sucks and I wish it didn't happen. I wish it didn't happen. Anyway, so let's get to some of the uh, it could have been worse still. No, and I agree. I do agree. So I'm going to get to some of the reactions of some people. One of my longtime Twitter associates uh, wrote an email. Um, I've been a long time loyal customer, a long time player for 40K for 10 years now. Uh, while I do understand the reason to protect your IP, I cannot understand the reasoning with the subject matter on fan films and animations, arguably one of your best forms of advertisement. If your IP of your IP to thousands of people to get into the hobby of this well-crafted universe. So, with all that said, I urge you to change it. I urge you to change, if not reconsider, your policy on this matter and reassure that the people who create such wonderful works, such as Brother Alphabus and many more like him, allow them to continue uh, assuming it's fanfic or fantastic work. Uh, and if that's not the case, I'll be no longer supporting this IP or this company if they continue down this path. I hope you can understand my concerns with this polity. I hope you'll listen to your fan base about this growing issue. I hope you are all well and stay safe in these trying times. Yeah, and I 100% agree with the sentiment. Thank you, Doomchild, for following and subscribing on YouTube. Um, and I'm of the same mind. So again, what's really kind of the great sin of Games Workshop is that they're not some lofty. Valak made an open letter on YouTube about a few hours ago. Yeah, Varric did. I'm doing it right now, as you can tell. Like everyone's having their say, and I want them to have their say. I want everyone to be angry and mad and all kinds of pissed. Um, yeah, and I don't understand why GW did what they did. Like, and I honestly don't think legal really, like, legal is legal. Like, they do what they have to do to earn a paycheck and protect their property. But someone had to talk to. I feel like it's like left hand not talking to right. Someone in the legal office. Uh, Hope GW finds a way to enforce their IP without stifling the community, because without the community, there's no Warhammer, uh, and there'd be no one to sell their plastic crack to. I mean, that's true. That's very true. But that's the unfortunate thing about Warhammer, about this mess that we find ourselves in. It's that Games Workshop isn't talking. Like, someone somewhere wasn't talking to either marketing or to the community, and we're like, hey, we want to protect our IP. This is what we're going to be suggesting. And then the community could be, I mean, it probably, like, again, I know what Alexis was saying is like, hey, this is just a boilerplate. Every company does it, yada, yada, yada. But we've seen other companies take different approaches that fosters community build, for God's sakes. Um, and it's unfortunate. It's wholly unfortunate that we have seen the death of something, or the temporary suspension or permanent suspension of something that we all love. And that's not fair. And it's not right. And we should be angry. And we should let Games Workshop know that we're angry. Write to them, write to their legal, write to their customer service, and basically be like, hey, what you did, not cool. Yeah, you're well within your right to protect your IP, and we want you to, because we don't want people. I mean, I can't tell you how many times on Facebook I saw a ripped off version of a Space Marine that was advertised with some sort of, or ripped off version of a Chaos Knight, or ripped off version of a vampire account, or whatever art, 40 Warhammer Fantasy or 40K artwork I saw that was advertising for a shitty mobile game that wasn't even Warhammer based, right? And I would report it and say, "Hey, this artwork is non-licensed artwork by another company." 100% would report it, because they're using assets that they did not use. Okay, that's how copyright is supposed to work. Hey, you're using stuff that you didn't use to falsely advertise something that's not even in that realm. Okay, some shitty mobile or some shitty fucking pay to win scheme, right? But at the same time, now we have this. And it's 100% unfair. 100% not right. And yeah, nothing like an asinine sweeping decision made by a bunch of suits in an ivory tower, completely disenfranchised a massive portion of your active community and fan base, eh? Oh, man. Yeah, I don't like. It's a it's been an interesting few days. I can imagine the guys at Warhammer Community going, "Why is everyone suddenly so mad at us?" Poor Peachy. Yeah, I like I said, I think like the biggest sin that GW did is that even their legal team is not as removed as people like think. Like the Ivory Tower, like these guys played the game. These guys played the game and had a passion in the hobby. And it feels like a stab in the back. Like I played with James Bell, all right? I've played with um uh and James Bell was like one of the he was a manager at um Arcadia Games Workshop way back when. It still works for Games Workshop as far as I know. You know. So you're not as far removed from the management aspect of Warhammer, especially when it comes to the corporate side. I mean, for Christ's sakes, you had Games Workshop corporate suits sitting at Bugman's having a pint. If that doesn't show you that they're not remotely connected with the fan base, I don't know what is. So that's what's so egregious about this move is that you had members of Games Workshop corporate having beers with the fans. And you now juxtapose that with now this legal stuff, and it's stupid. And the thing is, I can't blame people for leaving the hobby. Hell, if Games Workshop comes and tries to shutter my YouTube, I might just say screw it and leave the hobby. And they spent thousands of dollars on this hobby. Like, and that's sad. So, finally, after an hour and 30 of my tirade and me just talking about my thoughts, what do we do? How do we go about talking? How do we go about letting our grievances be heard? Well, email customer service. Email Games Workshop. They say if you have a grievance, we are 100% open. Well, I'm about to call you on your bullshit. Hell, I'm about to write myself a very nice long email. And I hope they're ready for it. No, I'm not. I'm like I said, I will not advocate tag him in Twitter, use hashtags, make it public. Yeah, absolutely. Be active. But what I will always, 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 always 100% not advocate for is harassment. Say your piece, say it well. Say it well on Twitter, say it well on Facebook, say it well on Instagram, say it well on YouTube. Hell, say it well whatever social media Games Workshop is on. Yeah, be angry at the company, not at the employees. 100%. 100%. Um, but do this. Voice your anger in a very healthy and constructive way. You know, let them know that it's smart to protect their IP. Absolutely. Hey, you had to deal with some people that were unconscionably terrible. Cool. I'm here for you. I'll always support fighting injustice. But I will not support doing injustice to people that are not doing damage to your brand. Or if you say they're damaging your brand, fine, provide the evidence. Show us that sales aren't being affected. Show us something. Habeas corpus. Give us the body. Habeas corpus. You know? Because here's the thing. Here's the thing about fandom, right? If a company does correct, the fans are going to go literally till the hilt, over the top and to the hilt, until the last dying breath, saying, the Games Workshop's awesome. But you can only do that with a good fandom if you treat them correctly. And going after animators, independent animators, that are just giving you positive fan content, like it's sad. It's sad. So, anyway. Writer request for their rules to be less restrictive or better worded to allow people to create their hobby while still giving Games Workshop a way to shut down if it's a clear violation, and make it clear what a violation is. Yeah, absolutely, Doomchild. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you can even give them that. You can be like, hey, look, I think the way you worded it was really ham fisted, yada yada. Who'd have thought dashing your fans' heartfelt works with casual boot and would piss off said fans? Yeah, I mean, again, all valid points, really valid frustrations. And I feel everyone's anger. I feel everyone's like just what sheer confusion. And again, a lot of this is like a lot of the how I feel is like the why. Why did you do this? Why you did this all for Warhammer Plus? And you don't even know if it's going to be successful. That's the real kicker. That's the real like adding insult to injury. You don't even know if your own streaming service is going to be successful. That's the true insult to this injury. You know, you don't even know if your own streaming service is going to be successful. Like, and I think that's what's the most damning is that you've got people who made this legal push and whatever salt the earth before they even sowed their own crop. Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, that's that's the truth. Now, will their streaming service be successful in the way that they're saying, "Oh, we're going to update rules and you're going to have instant codecs and instant rules available as soon as we release them for media purchase and consumption?" Sure. That good, great, cool, whatever. All for it. But not for the price point that they're going to be saying. I think they said it was £12 a month, $14 for the United States or whatever. Yeah, not for it. Not for it. Especially now that this is the additional price we have to pay. Just not for it. And again, for all my independent artists out there that make their bread and meat off of Warhammer 40K content because they love the fandom, God, my heart goes out to all of you. And I want you guys to be happy and successful. I really, really do. I hope you guys are happy and successful. Christ, I hope you guys are happy and successful. And I hope Games Workshop does not threaten you guys. That's nearly 20 Australian dollars over here. Yikes! That's for something vague that is vague and murky. Yeah, I was all for Warhammer Plus. Um, Before this is debacle, I supported Battlescribe in the past. I was happy with GW making an official army builder for 40K. I still keep using Battlescribe for now. Yeah, again, it's an ugly thing that has happened, and I don't get it. I do not understand. Anyway, um, I hope uh, why said. Well, Mike, you're coming in kind of at the tail end of a long kind of diatribe about my special comments about the Warhammer 40K universe um, and why Games Workshop shot themselves in the foot today. 10 days ago, and now we're seeing the fallout for it. For those of you that are just joining us, to sum everything up, Games Workshop released a new IP legal guidelines that shut down fan art and fan animation pretty aggressively, where you can't use any of their official iconography, any names that they use, any official text that they've published, anything relating to or around Warhammer 40K, Age of Sigmar, you name it, Warhammer Fantasy Battles, you name it, they're named characters or whatever the case is. And if you do happen to do that, it is only for your own personal consumption. You can't share it with anybody. Um, and if you do share it with somebody, you can't make money off of it. So now they've basically put all these independent commissioned artists, all these independent fan animators, animators, art animators, all these independent 3D designers, all these independent websites that talk about 40K lore or 40K or make 40K little movies and whatnot. I think it's a bit more severe than that. They're shooting themselves in the foot. If they don't resend and rewrite these new guidelines, judging by the bloodhounds on the internet anyway. Yeah, Himaru. That's basically. I mean, it's ugly, no matter how you slice it. And that's honestly the tragic and shameful thing about Warhammer, about this new legal system is that there are groups that have created content based off of Warhammer 40K and or not just Warhammer 40K, but Warhammer in general, the Warhammer series, right? And now everyone's under threat, to include this channel, to include my Twitch and YouTube and Facebook channels. You know, where is it going to stop? How are they going to prosecute? How are they going to who who are they going to target? Because it's not just the ad revenue that's at stake, it's also the Patreon, and it's also like the direct PayPal donations and everything to that extent, right? If you make money off of making Warhammer news, Warhammer battle reports, Warhammer art, Warhammer animations, Warhammer cosplay, Warhammer lore videos, Warhammer, like any Warhammer anything that Games Workshop has made proprietary intellectual property, you're at risk. And that's what's tragic about this whole thing. And it's sad. And it's deeply frustrating. I'm seriously rethinking my channel because I used to do Warhammer 40K battle reports, and now I don't think I'm safe. And what I don't want to have happen is Games Workshop come down and say, "Hey, shut your channel, otherwise we're going to sue you." In which case, my answer is going to be, "Well, fuck, I got to shut down the channel." It's personal, very personal now. I and it's not just me. There's other people that stream Warhammer content, Games Workshop content. Turin, Legend of Total War, Queen Alexis, Nord Queen Alexis. I mean, you name a YouTube channel that's primary bread and butter is a Games Workshop intellectual property, and they're all in trouble. You know, at the very least, people are gonna the Games Workshop can say you're gonna take down all your Warhammer related videos. In which case, this channel's fucking gutted. You know, or any other channel that's Warhammer related. All right, so we're going on roughly about 2 hours now. I'm supposed to be streaming with everybody 7 days to die. So, and they're probably within the seventh night as it is. So we're gonna switch over to that, and you're all more than welcome to stay and watch, or you can leave. It doesn't matter. But I'll probably go offline for a little bit, drink some water, and talk to him. Oh boy, I haven't played 7 days in ages. Yeah, well, don't forget. And for those of you that have joined me on Twitch, please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube. Every subscriber helps because if I get monetized, all my money, the only thing that I can say is all my money goes to charity. I need to do some shopping first. No, go ahead, go ahead. Like I said, if you guys have to, you're not beholden to me. I'd love you guys to stay, but I get it. But anyway, yeah. So that's been my thoughts recently on this whole fiasco, and it sucks. So, keep strong, keep the faith. The Emperor always protects. Um, I feel that Games Workshop is going to need some readjustment, and I hope they feel the discontent and the anger and the sadness and the frustrations of the community at large today. I hope they change. I really do. And I hope people still can support the universe if they don't support the company at least. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later, and I hope that you guys have a lovely day and have a lovely weekend. My name is Commissar Hecht, and I will see you guys in the next video. And we'll be here shortly with 7 days to die after I take maybe a 10-minute break just to get some water and get into the game. and obviously set up the stream. So, my name is Commissar Hecht. I will see you guys in the next episode. May the Emperor guide you in these dark times. Bye-bye.